Sorry, there was people moving around me. So what I have seen so far, we've seen the tear gas deployed, the rubber bullets. That is what we have seen, and we've heard those flashbang grenades. So that is what we have witnessed from our vantage point, and it was very effective in moving the crowd along. Like I said, it sounded like somebody was revving up a motorcycle, some kind of engine right there in the middle of the crowd. You couldn't see it, but it was intimidating for me to listen to. And those officers, they're facing that huge crowd, and they don't know what's coming for them. So they deployed the tear gas in that moment, and it was very effective in moving that crowd back. And this whole area that was, full of protesters, as you could see, it is cleared out as law enforcement continues to move forward here on Broadway in downtown LA.
Christina, you've been there for a few days. Do you feel that the violence, the protesters are getting more militant as days go by, or less, or is it just about the same?
It's really unpredictable because, like I said, we've had several days of calm protests, very large crowds, and things were calm. People are going to listen. How many people are going to adhere to it? And certainly it appears that people are not, a great deal of them. And so we're in this situation. But today, we just knew that thousands of people were going to come out, unlike some of the previous. Tonight, a very volatile and dangerous situation.
Yeah, indeed. And Christina, have you seen LA Mayor Karen Bass out there where you are? I ask you that because we're now under 20 minutes to the curfew that she set will take effect. And the most recent tweet on her feed right now is from 6 hours ago of an aerial shot of a crowd. She says LA is strong. This is what peaceful protest looks like. That she's not there. Does she know this is happening?
I'm sure she is aware of it. In addition to me and a number of other reporters, law enforcement themselves, they've issued this dispersal order. They've issued warnings. They've detailed what's happening. So I'm sure she is very aware of it. I have not heard her say anything about it. I'm not aware of her commenting on this as of yet tonight. I have not seen her out here, but certainly I'm sure she's aware of this ongoing chaos. She's been calling for people to be peaceful and stick to the message, but clearly some of her constituents, they're not listening because we have yet another night of violence.
Christina,
and officers doing the best they can to stop it. Yeah.
Do you know if the protesters even know what their message is anymore? Because we see this happen, for example, with the anti-Semitic protests in New York City. You would talk to some of these protesters. They really didn't understand 100% why they were there. They were rallied to come there in some way. But it was fascinating that some of the messaging that you talk about gets lost on the folks who were actually on the ground.
Well, it certainly does, and I don't understand how people think that this is going to be effective, that hurling dangerous objects at police, throwing fireworks, vandalizing buildings, writing vulgar slogans all over property, how that is going to help anyone's messaging. It certainly does, and if anything, it takes away from it. And the mayor, I feel like she tried to reiterate that to people, and they're just not listening. So if, during these protests earlier today, they're calling for ICE to be abolished. They say they want the raids to end. But either way, no matter what they're saying, at the end of the day, this is what you see. You see the violence. You see police responding. You see the tear gas. You see the flashbangs. This is what this night has turned into. And so that messaging, it's lost in all of this chaos.
Christina Coleman, fantastic reporting. Thank you so much for that.
Work goes smoothly when you know the right steps. With Asana, you can coordinate tasks across teams and stay on track, so your team can spend more time celebrating wins. Try it for free at asana.com.
Fourth night of violence in Los Angeles, the chaos prompting President Trump to deploy more federal troops, and the state of California responding with a lawsuit. Good morning. This is a different look, isn't it, for your morning? I'm John Roberts. Bill and Dana are off today. It's good to be with you.
It's great to be with you on this early morning hour, John.
So we got the blue memo today?
We did.
Fantastic.
We're coordinating. It's going to be a great show. I'm Jillian Turner. This is America's Newsroom. President now deploying 2,000 more National Guard troops in response to the anti-ICE protests out in L.A. That brings the total now up to 4,000. The Pentagon also sending 700 Marines right now to support that operation until the National Guard is fully deployed.
At the same time, California is suing the Trump administration for sending in the National Guard. The suit calls the deployment unlawful since Governor Gavin Newsom did not request to it or accede to it. President Trump writing on Truth Social moments ago, if I didn't send in the troops to Los Angeles the last
Bass's leadership calling them incompetent, and they believe the public will side with them. And
oh, it is June 4th. Oh, it is June 14th in America, and yes, it is No King's Day, and we have a special breaking story for you in terms of video you have got to see, which I'll show you in a few seconds, regarding, I don't know, an
It has been a very busy Saturday afternoon here in Chicagoland, and we begin with some breaking news. A massive protest that we've been following all afternoon in the Loop. Tens of thousands of people started filling Daley Plaza more than an hour before the noon start time for the No Kings rally, and eventually shutting down streets to speak out against President Donald Trump's policies. We have team coverage. Marissa Sulik and Dave Savini are live along Washington Street with our coverage tonight. Marissa, let's start with you.
Yeah, Joe, we are here literally right outside our CBS studios where we finally saw police. They were trying to prevent some marchers from continuing on with this march even 2 hours after it started or ended for that matter. And finally, we did see them use a lot of de-escalation techniques to get everyone to finally disperse. But today, if you came to Daley Plaza earlier, you saw tens of thousands of people. They were fed up, they were angry, and they were expressing their concerns about the Trump administration and their handling of deportations and ICE. But the emphasis all day was to keep this nonviolent, keep this peaceful, and to use their First Amendment rights to get this done today. Now, that was the message echoed by the tens of thousands of people here in Chicago and at rallies nationwide. They all came out and gathered to show they will not fall to Donald Trump. Today's rally was organized by Indivisible Chicago and the ACLU, but we heard from prominent Illinois politicians, including U.S. Senator Dick Durbin and U.S. Representative Chuy Garcia, who says Trump is ruling like a king.
You gun owners who want to become better shots, I think you're going to want to see this. This is the Vanish Laser Strike training system, and this thing is awesome. It makes training so...
These protests... Definitely want to see like the small cities.
Been happening all across our region and across the country today. Along with the gathering at the state capitol, we also saw this. You know what that is? This is protesters that took to the streets of downtown Sacramento right onto the Tower Bridge. They were marching across Sacramento's iconic Tower Bridge. Along with Sacramento, we also saw demonstrations in Roseville, Folsom, and Elk Grove. We also saw these protests all across California. This is a look at the ones we saw in Los Angeles, San Francisco, San Jose, San Diego, Long Beach, and Santa Monica. KCRA 3's Aaron Heft brings us into the crowds that covered the California state capitol.
Countless faces among the growing crowd raising their voices, bringing their messages to the west steps of the California state capitol.
My hope is that we have to show that the majority of Americans oppose what Trump is doing. and support due process and the rule of law.
This one of approximately 2,000 rallies across the United States protesting the Trump administration, countering the president's military parade and current policies, and he said they disagree with.
Mostly we're fighting immigration policies. We're letting America know we will not stand by this. This is unacceptable behavior from the President of the United States, someone that should be representing everyone in America, and he just doesn't, and he chooses to be unkind.
He's breaking the laws, he's defying the Constitution, so it's important. I mean, my husband is a veteran. I
want to see small towns, that's what I want to see. I only see like King's Day, small towns. This is what Palm Beach is saying. I know they hot in West Palm Beach. Let's go to TikTok.
Show me what democracy looks like.
Just do shorts.
Yeah, Christine Devine on the desk, recalling the 1992 riots, and with these immigration raids moving forward, you know, demonstrators say they're not stopping here. Right. What are your concerns moving forward ahead with these demonstrations that are continuing to be planned here?
Well, number one, that they remain.
I want to see states that have no.
We begin with this. The No King's Day protests are happening all around the Beehive State as Utahns gather to protest against the Trump administration. We are bringing you coverage of these protests all across the state. You are seeing images from Ogden, Provo, Salt Lake City, Kanab, and St. George. Thousands across the state all looking to have their voices heard. We begin in Ogden in Salt Lake City, where demonstrators say they are using these protests to oppose what they believe is President Donald Trump's power grab. Our Kate Gardner was there and gives us a look.
Union Station here in Ogden is mostly quiet now, but that wasn't the case earlier this afternoon. Hundreds of protesters gathered here to express their opinions on a variety of subjects, including immigration, women's rights, and the president's policies.
Our power comes from consistent, unrelenting activism.
Demonstrators gathered to be seen and heard.
It's enough. We've had enough. There are people who are being hurt. We're giving money to millionaires and billionaires. We're making sure that people are thrown into jail and custody without any rights. We're just not recognizing human decency.
We the people have the power.
I just want to be part of the movement, and I don't know, it just makes me feel a little better to see so many people out.
No person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. And what's happening now, it doesn't say citizens, it says no person. And so they're losing their rights.
From Ogden down to Salt Lake City, another 2,000 or so gather at the University of Utah.
I don't want to be there in 60 years when the history books are written and be telling my grandkids that I sat around and did nothing. Can I do a whole lot of change by myself? No, but I can show up, and I can be proud of the fact that I stood up and said something.
We all love our country. We are the land of the free, and right now, we are not the land of the free until everyone is free.
There's all sorts of really draconian legislation. At the state level, there's massive budget cuts. So we're really seeing an attack at the local level, the state level, and the federal level, and kind of the way that those things are intersecting, I think, is really concerning to me.
I'm happy that other people feel the same way and that people are speaking out and they're not just letting their voices go unheard.
Since Donald Trump came down the escalator, it's been simply immoral. It's not normal, and it's heartening to see in a state like Utah everybody coming out here and saying that this isn't right.
This is all we can do. I just feel it's very important that everyone comes out and does what they can to be here today.
I spent a good part of the day walking through the crowds looking for counter-protesters to be able to get their perspective, but as far as I could tell, none showed up. Reporting from Ogden, Cade Garner, ABC4 News.
Kansas. If you think traditional gel polish is good, wait until you see this one. The gel polish that I'm thinking of can be removed in 1 minute at home without acetone or causing damage to your nails. It's formulated completely vegan, HEMA-free, and non-toxic.
The crowd is very energetic right now, very loud. You can hear chanting, cheers, punching. There's a lot of people here in Fort Worth today at the No Kings protest.
Shoot.
Chants, crowds, and collective outrage. Protesters flooded the Marigny to say no kings.
We have to fight. We have to resist. Resist.
The protest Saturday morning joined thousands like it all across the country. According to the No Kings website, there were marches in nearly every state stretching from Florida to Alaska. The one in New Orleans looped around Decatur with a clear message of resistance against President Trump and his administration.
No ICE! No KKK! No racist USA!
They are disregarding court mandates. They're disregarding congressional mandates. They just seem to be operating as if the checks and balances did not exist.
The protests, of course, took on the mood of any other typical New Orleans parade. with music, dancing, and costumes likely reworked from Mardi Gras, but with more defiance in the air than what you'd see during Carnival.
I'm so angry.
New Orleans, okay.
The Trump administration has allowed these billionaires to rape and pillage our governmental money to take to their own pockets.
The protests here in New Orleans and others like it all across the country come this same day President Trump is hosting a military parade up in D.C. The event is scheduled to commemorate the Army's 250th anniversary and has been in the works for nearly 2 years. A parade was just added earlier this year.
You're cutting veterans benefits, health care benefits, school programs.
The protest ended in Washington Square Park, where organizers and community leaders urged people to take action.
A lot of good exchange of ideas and information and really coming together as a community to defend our democracy.
And even as the crowd dispersed, those who marched say the fight is far from over.
We shall overcome.
In New Orleans, Alyssa Curtis, WWL, Louisiana.
Now, there were no signs of any conflicts between protesters and law enforcement at today's protest. A No Kings protest was also held in Covington today. NOLA.com reports hundreds of people showed up there as well.
Tonight in San Francisco, thousands of people marching down Market Street to the steps of City Hall. Sarah Donchi spoke to community members, making their voices heard.
That's good.
I'm Sarah Donchi at Civic Center Plaza. It had started earlier this morning at Dolores Park, where thousands of people were packed into the park. We saw lots of signs all day about a variety of issues. People speaking out against immigration and ICE deportations and raids. People talking about Ukraine and Russia. People talking about the cuts in funding to multiple institutions, and a lot of people speaking directly to their displeasure with the Trump administration. We were really taken aback by how many issues brought so many different people together. We talked to people about that earlier today, about what brought them out here to San Francisco, to this protest specifically. Here's what they had to say.
I'm devastated because what's happening to my people right now, that's why I'm here, to show a little bit of my, how I feel about my people.
I just feel like the way that they're handling ICE is handling themselves is totally un-American. I think we have to have due process.
Our rights are at risk, just like everybody else's. They're threatening to cut our health care and our support and SNAP benefits that working airmen need to be able to support their family.
So people started to leave Civic Center Plaza a little earlier in the afternoon, but some people were still hanging around here with their signs. Definitely, as we saw at other protests here in the Bay Area, people were in relative that they were really excited and happy to see how many people turned out to this event today. Of course, this is just one of many events around the country. Back to you.
Alrighty, Sarah, similar.
Without the ones like you working tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly for the ones who get it done.
There are still so many unanswered questions tonight about the suspect in today's shooting, but we do know authorities found these flyers saying "No Kings" in his vehicle. That's the name of protests that were organized across the country today in opposition of President Trump and his administration. In light of that finding, authorities urge people not to attend rallies today, but large crowds still gathered at the state capitol.
But the protest took on a decidedly more somber tone. Our Morgan Wolf was there. Morgan?
I have to say, this is the largest demonstration that I have seen at our state capitol. Some people were telling me that they were more motivated to be there after hearing about the shootings.
This is a non-violent event.
I was hoping to come out here for a joyous, peaceful protest.
In a day meant for protests, there was pause.
Coming here in grief and sadness.
In a time of rising division, there was shared grief.
My mom was one of the people who was like, you shouldn't go out today. It's like, we're fine. We're going to find our people.
What started as a protest against President Trump unexpectedly turned into a tribute to Representative Melissa Hortman.
This only made it feel more meaningful, I guess.
Despite safety concerns from authorities, Minnesotans still came to the No Kings demonstration.
In times like this, it is of the utmost importance to lean on each other.
Many state leaders canceled their scheduled appearances, though, but Attorney General Keith Ellison didn't.
Melissa Hortman, truly wonderful person.
and she was a dear, dear, dear friend of mine. And now I feel like now I gotta go think about where we're at, because I couldn't let myself really feel it till now. But
on the steps Melissa took to serve the people,
shock, devastation,
now serve as a place for the people to say their goodbyes.
My sources told me that law enforcement present there at that protest was scaled back from the original plans because resources were spread thin with the manhunt. That demonstration today at the Capitol remained peaceful.
It is one of the things that has been so powerful and moving today is seeing these legislators, these people that are state leaders be so overcome with emotion and just fear about what had happened today.
Yeah, because this is their friends too,
Yeah.
not just lawmakers. Thank you so much, Morgan.
We'll be back with Jamie and his forecast right after this.
In St. Louis, those protests filled the sidewalks and streets downtown. Many protesters told us they decided to get involved after seeing the series of movements across the country. Dozens of protesters even visited multiple gatherings today. New tonight, 5 on Your Side's Annie Kroll was on the ground downtown in the hours leading up to Washington, D.C.'s largest military parade in decades.
If we don't get it, shut it down!
So I think it's important for all of us to exercise our First Amendment rights, no matter where we are, no matter where we live.
At least 1,000 people marched beneath the arch for a multitude of reasons.
One of the big ones that's got me right now is how much power that man has and how much he's abusing it and running over people.
Just being together in spirit, peacefully sharing what they believe in and thinking about our country. It's really incredible to see. It brings tears to my eyes.
Speaking in opposition to President Donald Trump's policies and military parade marking his 79th birthday and the U.S. Army's 250th anniversary.
I love my country. I want to be in community with like-minded people who want us to be better.
This after a week of nationwide protest against mass immigration raids.
Going in and pulling people out of cars and separating families, it's insane.
The No Kings protest happening on Saturday got so crowded downtown you couldn't even walk down streets like Market. It's a testament, protesters tell me, to how important it is for people to show up and show out in places like St. Louis as the movement epicenter continues in cities like Los Angeles and Washington, D.C.
I think a lot of people have a lot of assumptions about Missouri and about the Midwest, and we are not a monolith.
Ryan Cooper from North County deciding to dress up as King George III, the monarch during the Revolutionary War.
I hope that it takes people who are on the sidelines to get up off the couch and join us.
St. Louis Metro Police Chief Robert Tracy helping block off streets for the march, which many protesters applauded for not being violent.
I've been to so many protests over the years that oftentimes the people that start to escalate in the protests are infiltrators.
Annie Kroll, 5 on Your Side.
SLMPD spokesperson Mitch McCoy posted on X saying there were no issues reported at the protest and no arrests.
A sea of signs and a unified call for change. At the state capitol Saturday, hundreds marched in what organizers called a day of action. Multiple movements sharing a single stage.
Such a huge crowd out here today.
It feels good to see the diversity of the crowd, both, from young to old. Multiple races, multiple backgrounds here representing.
From immigration enforcement to Palestinian liberation to demands for democratic reform, speakers took turns rallying the crowd, saying these issues are deeply interconnected.
They're attacking immigrants, they're attacking everyday workers, they're getting rid of all the most important historical social programs, they're trying to gut everything that protects people and the safety nets. And so I think just the fact that there was a multitude of things happening today is just exemplary of that fact.
The No Kings movement, a coalition of activists pushing for systemic change, led the largest portion of Saturday's demonstrations. The group emphasized nonviolent protest, encouraging activists to stay safe, document everything, and stand in solidarity.
It's great. I mean, it's just really nice to see people coming together instead of being so separated by politics.
People from all ages and backgrounds gathering at the Capitol.
I live up in Conifer, so I'm kind of far. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm going. So I got my chores done this morning, made my sign, and took the light rail, and here I am.
Including one woman who told us she's been protesting for decades and wanted to show up for the next generation.
I love seeing people bring their kids to this. I'm 73. So I grew up in Vietnam, and I protested for that too. And I think it's really important to let your children see how our democracy works.
And organizers tell me that they do have other events planned throughout the rest of the summer. Of course, we will keep you posted on that. As far as what's going on here, yes, it is still active. Yes, there are still people on the lawn out front of the Capitol and all the surrounding streets as well. So we're going to keep a close eye on this, especially now that the daylight has gone away. That might change things. And we'll check back in with you at 10. For now, live in downtown Denver, I'm Hannah Powers, Fox 31.
Thousands of demonstrators took to the streets of downtown San Antonio in the No Kings protest. They joined a movement across the country to speak out against the Trump administration's policies. This all unfolding on the same day as the military parade in Washington, D.C. President Trump scheduled it for the Army's 250th anniversary, and it also happens to fall on his 79th birthday. KENS 5 reporter Megan Reina has been on the ground with protesters all night here in the Alamo City. Megan, organizers came prepared tonight.
Yes, Alicia, this was a well-planned event. Organizers were expecting thousands. They got thousands, but they wanted to spread their message peacefully. And from what we saw tonight, they accomplished that goal.
Fight! Protest!
When 5 p.m. hit Saturday night, Travis Park filled up.
Our stories, our food, our families, our languages, they shaped this city from the beginning.
People from across several generations joining in on the No Kings protest against the Trump administration.
What a TikTok.
Our democracy is getting away from us, and I have children and grandchildren, and I'm going to be dead, but they're going to be around a long time.
We can't stand for stuff like this. We need to come out.
Let's close this window. Right. Let's go to TikTok and see. Let's watch this, guys.
setting, and I mean, look at the footage. The people just go on forever. And as far as some of the things we've seen in Los Angeles, they carried a massive copy of the U.S. Constitution. In Florida, protesters marched to Mar-a-Lago. San Francisco formed a giant human banner that said "No Kings." Nashville endured the rain to protest. Chicago's protest was so big that one reporter speculated that it could be the biggest protest in the city's history. City officials in Boise announced that today's protest is the largest gathering in the city's entire history. In Idaho, I didn't know you had it in you. I mean, look at the photos. Is that like a third of Idaho out there? Even small towns in America have shown up in massive numbers, from Little Rock, Arkansas to State College, Pennsylvania, with it appearing that many Americans are absolutely pissed with the ICE secret police, the use of the military on the people, the authoritarian crackdown on free speech, the camps, the corruption, and the general lawlessness that this regime conducts itself with. Right, and that is...
This has largely been a peaceful day of protest, but as you can see on your screen, that has quickly changed. The LAPD says they gave a dispersal order to the crowd that had lingered past